Hey loves, and welcome back to my channel. It is Ijoma here, and in today's video we are going to learn how to draft a perfect shoulder dart. I have my pattern paper here and I'm going to start from the beginning. From the shoulder area, I will mark my bust point, that is 11. I'll mark 11. For the under bust is 14 inches. I'll go ahead and mark 14. Then for the half length is 17, and I will add 2 inches extra for allowance. And I'm done marking the lines. I'll label the bust point, under bust, half length, and allowance. The next thing that I will do is to mark our shoulder. The shoulder is 16 inches, and 16 inches is 8 unfold, so I'll go ahead and mark 8, but I will not mark down, just indicate the 8 inches and leave it for now. Just indicate the 8 inches and leave it for now. Then I'll mark 3 by 3 for my neckline, 3 inches by 3 inches for my neckline. That is for the front neckline, and I will connect. Then right now you measure your nipple to nipple, or your bust pan, that is 4. It is 8 and 4 unfold. Then at the under bust, 3.5, half length 3.5, allowance 3.5. You can see that I measured 4 at the bust point, but 3.5 at the under bust and the rest. It will give that a defined line or a defined shape. I'll connect the 3.5 line, and I'll connect the 3.5 to the 4 inches that I marked at the bust point. The next thing that we are going to do is to mark our shoulder dart line. Remember, from the points where we marked our neckline, we measure to the shoulder and we have 5. Then the midpoint of 5 is 2.5. From that area where I measured my neck width to the point of the shoulder is 5. Then the midpoint is 2.5. And you can see I indicated the midpoint and I connected my bust point to that midpoint. Then I mark my under bust dart. I want to mark my under bust dart. I want to use 2 inches for my bust curve, or the breast cut, anyone. Then I will mark that 2 inches down to our allowance line. I'll mark it down to the allowance line. Then I'll connect to the bust point. Then for the shoulder dart itself, you can take out 2 inches or 2.5 from that line where you marked your shoulder dart. You can mark 2 inches or 2.5. So I decided to mark 2 inches. From that dart line, you measure 2 inches. I decided to mark 2 inches. So I will connect from that line back to my bust point. I'll connect from that line that I marked back to my bust point. So when I was connecting, I made a mistake. I connected it to the 2.5 to 2.5. So 2.5 is still okay. If you want to make it 2 inches, fine. 2.5, fine. So you can see that our shoulder dart is out now. The next thing that we are going to do is to remark our shoulder measurement. Remember, our shoulder measurement is 8, and I took out 2.5 for our dart. The initial shoulder measurement was 8. Then you add back that 2.5 that you took out for your dart. You add it back to the measurement, and that will be 10.5. 8 inches plus 2.5 that I took out for my dart measurement at the shoulder is 10.5. So I'll go ahead and place 10.5. And that point where it stopped at is our new shoulder. We have replaced that we took out. So this is our new shoulder. From there, you mark your chest line. Our bust point is 11. So 2 inches above the bust point is the chest line. I will mark 9 inches, and 9 inches is our chest line. Then I will connect from the shoulder down to that chest line. Then I'll mark. After doing that, you will find the midpoint of that chest line, of the armhole line, that is 4.5. 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. Then from that 4.5, you will come in by half an inch. This is for the front armhole. The front armhole is usually different from the back armhole. So for the shoulder slants, you mark 1 inch for your shoulder slants, then you connect back to your neckline. I hope you are understanding this gradually. We have gotten our shoulder dart, we have replaced our shoulder, and then we have marked our armhole and our shoulder slant. Right now, you take your bust measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches seam allowance. The bust is 44 divided by 4 plus 2 inches. Then at the under bust, remember to replace that 2 inches that you took out. So right now, you divide your waist measurement by 4 plus 2 inches for that, and another 2 inches for the normal seam allowance, and that will be all. Now, after marking this, we will go ahead and connect. Then this is what we have right now. I'll go ahead and cut out. You can as well shade. If you don't want to get confused, you can shade the areas that you will cut out. Just go ahead and shade so that when you are cutting out, you know the areas you will cut out. So now I am done shading and I am cutting out. So I'll go ahead and cut off the neckline and the darts, the shoulder darts. We'll cut out the shoulder darts and the under bust darts. So if you are cutting this out on your fabric, you remember to add half an inch along the dart lines. Remember to add your half an inch on your fabric along the dart lines. So this is what we have now for the shoulder dart, and it is really beautiful. So for the back is going to be a normal dart. You will just use a normal dart for the back. So for the back, this is our paper. The back will have a normal dart. It will have a normal dart, and remember this back will have a zipper allowance. So first of all, you mark your zipper allowance, that is 2 inches or 1.5. You are free to determine how you want your zipper allowance to be. Then after marking the zipper allowance, I'll go ahead and connect. So for the back, remember the back is different from the front. The front has bust points on the bust, but for the back, you'll be using just your chest line, your half length, and your allowance. That is all you need for the back, since we are using a normal dart for it. We'll mark our chest line, that is 9 inches. Our half length, that is 17 inches, plus 2 inches for our seam allowance. So after doing this, I'll go ahead and connect the lines. So you mark your shoulder. Your shoulder is your normal 16 divided by 2, that is 8. And remember, every measurement you are taking for the back will start from the zipper allowance. Then you connect your armhole line, then find the midpoint of the armhole. From there, you will connect your armhole. You can see that the front armhole is half an inch deeper than the back armhole. Then you will mark 3 inches for your neck width. The neck width will be 3 inches. I want to label my lines. I have my chest line, I have my half length, so that I will not get confused. I have my half length, and I also have my allowance. So right now, we'll mark our shoulder slant, that is 1 inch, and we'll measure our neck width, that is 3 inches. Then the neck depth will be 1.5. You can make it 1 inch. It depends on what you are sewing. I made my neck depth 1.5. So 1.5, you go ahead and connect. At the half length, that is where you will take your dart measurement. Your dart measurement will fall on the half length. So you go in by 4, that is your nipple to nipple, and you mark. Then you will extend that line up, but it will stop at 1 inch before your chest line. This dart line will stop at 1 inch before your chest line. Then after marking this, on the sides of this dart line, at the sides you have to take out 0.5, 0.5. Then you will connect to where the dart line stopped. After doing that, you will now take your bust measurement and your waist measurement. Waist measurements, remember we have our dart line. You divide your waist by 4, then you add 1 inch for the darts and another 2 inches for your normal seam allowance. So the waist is 36 divided by 4, that is 9, plus 1 inch for the dart allowance, that is 10, plus 2 inches for normal seam allowance, and that will be 12. Then you mark your 12. At the chest line, that is where you take your bust point. Our bust is 44 divided by 4, that is 10, plus 2 inches seam allowance, that is 12. That is 13. Sorry, 44 divided by 4 is 11, plus 2, that is 13. Then we'll mark and cut out, and this will be all for the back parts. So if you're cutting the neckline, remember that the neckline will extend to the zipper allowance. This is our zipper allowance. So remember, your neckline will extend to your zipper allowance. Then you can go ahead and cut out. I'm done cutting out, and when you are cutting out your pattern, please indicate your dart area. So at the end of the day, this is what we have after joining. This is a practical my student had in our academy. So if you want to register with us, just feel free to chat me up on Instagram at Sew with Ijoma, or you can request for my WhatsApp number. You can see that this princess dart is not padded, but it is still beautiful and neat. So this is the fabric that we made with using that pattern. So thank you guys for watching, and see you in my next video. Bye.